Apart from some religious and cultural exceptions, Saint Valentine's Day is an annual tradition celebrated around the world. Hearts, roses, cupids, chocolates, and even champagne in all shades of red and pink inundate stores, cafes, and all sorts of public places. Specific greeting cards called Valentines are exchanged by many, and restaurant reservations are completely booked on this day. While the differences between love, romance, and friendship are supposed to be clear, Saint Valentine's Day seems to mix it all up and provide the greatest excuse to demonstrate appreciation and affection. But where and when did all this begin? Who was Saint Valentine? Who was Cupid, and why is this chubby little cherub related to Saint Valentine's Day? This video is part of the Addendum series, where we explore and expand concepts, ideas, and practically any topic that might be somewhat familiar to us by adding information to our knowledge. This time, we are exploring the origins and meaning of Saint Valentine's Day. As it is customary in the Catholic tradition, every saint has its own holy day. But before we talk about Saint Valentine, let's go back in time as far as the 8th century before our Common Era, around the year 750 BC, before the foundation of Rome. According to the Roman legend, two babies named Romulus and Remus were thrown into the Tiber River by an angry king named Amulius. It's a complicated story. The babies were rescued and nurtured by a she-wolf who took the twins to her den, until a shepherd rescued the boys and adopted them. When Romulus and Remus grew up, they conquered the angry king and found the cave den where the she-wolf nurtured them and named the place Lupercal. The Roman god Lupercus was a protector of farmers and packs of wild animals. Wolf in Latin is lupus. See the connection? The twin brothers founded the city of Rome at the base of the Palatine Hill where the cave was located. The cave Lupercal became a symbol of fertility and prosperity. About 250 years later, the Roman people in the 6th century before our Common Era, around the year 500 BC, began celebrating at that location toward the end of the winter a festival of fertility they called Lupercalia. Like in many pagan religions and cultures, especially in the northern hemispheres, the time of the year nearing the spring equinox has inspired rituals and celebrations as days are noticeably getting longer and the weather begins to get gradually warmer. Both plants and animals of all species are sensitive to these changes, and excitement is evident. The festival included a big feast and rituals where a group of Roman priests called Luperci would sacrifice a goat to the god Lupercus. They would cut strips of the goat hide called februa or thongs. This ritual took place every year during the month of Februarius, or the month of the Februa, also known as the month of fertility. You got it! That's the origin of the name of the month of February. The Luperci would chase women down the Palatine Hill, gently slapping them with the februa stained with the goat's blood. These women welcomed the gesture because the early Romans believed that this act would make these women fertile and help them have babies and increase the Roman population. During Lupercalia, single women would write their names on small wooden slates and place them in a big urn. The city's bachelors would line up to draw a slate from the urn, and they would date the owner of the name on the slate for a year. Many of these matches would end in marriage and new Roman babies. Lupercalia continued being celebrated for centuries. However, during the 3rd century AD, the Roman Emperor Claudius II prohibited marriage. He believed that married men were unwilling to join the army because they would prefer to stay at home with their families. Christianity had been gaining popularity by this time, but it was not really accepted in Rome yet. The first Christians began being known as Catholicus, which is Latin for universal, since they were not only dissident Jews, but an extensive group of individuals from many different beliefs who decided to follow the teachings of Jesus the Christ, hence the term Catholic. Legend has it that around the year 270 AD, a Catholic priest named Valentinus, a very common name back then, continued performing marriages in secrecy in spite of the Roman emperor's prohibition. Valentinus, or Valentine, got caught, and he even tried to convert Claudius to Christianity. Claudius became enraged and sentenced Valentine to be decapitated on February 14th of the same year. Another legend adds to the story. According to some good gossipers, there was another Valentine who was imprisoned for assisting Christians escape from execution. This Valentine managed to convert to Christianity the blind daughter of his jailer, a young woman named Julia. They say that Julia recovered her sight after she prayed with Valentine. The day before Valentine's execution, he sent her a note and signed it, "From your Valentine." This is what is believed to be the origin of the so-called Valentine cards. Some say that there was a third Valentine who was a bishop and was captured and beheaded by Claudius. In any case, it seems like all the Valentines ended up merging into one. Lupercalia was still being celebrated by many Romans, but a century later, in the late 300s AD, the Roman Emperor Constantine converted to Christianity, and that catapulted its popularity, facilitated the integration of the breaking Roman Empire, and ignited the gradual elimination of pagan rituals. By the late 5th century, Pope Gelasius I declared February 14th a holy day to celebrate the martyrdom of Saint Valentine for helping Christians when they were persecuted, attempting to distract from the celebration of Lupercalia and eliminate it completely. However, this only made Saint Valentine the patron of lovers, especially due to the different interpretations of the note that Valentine supposedly sent to Julia. Many got inspired by Valentine's note and little by little associated love with the month of February. During the Middle Ages, people connected the first signs of springtime and the mating season of animals, especially birds, with Saint Valentine's Day. An English poet named Geoffrey Chaucer wrote the Parliament of Fowls in 1382 to honor the first anniversary of the engagement of King Richard II of England to Anne of Bohemia. In the poem, Chaucer relates a vision of birds of all kinds cheerfully choosing their mates on Saint Valentine's Day. Practically everyone jumped into conclusions and reinforced their idea of Saint Valentine's Day being a day to declare love and celebrate romance. What they did not catch was that the poem made reference to a different and less popular Saint Valentine, the one from Genoa, whose holy day was celebrated on May 3rd, a day after the formal engagement of these young royals. Another event that contributed to the establishment of the tradition of sending love notes on February 14th is a love poem written in 1415 by Charles, Duke of Orleans, to his wife, Bonne d'Armagnac, while he was imprisoned in the Tower of London after losing the Battle of Agincourt. In his hyper-dramatic and romantic poem, he says that he is ill with love and called Bonne "my sweet Valentine." Many were already using Valentine's name as an endearing nickname for their lovers, especially on St. Valentine's Day. Roses are red, violets are blue. Yeah, I'm sure you have heard this one. The culprit of such a romantic line is the English poet Edmund Spenser, author of The Faerie Queene in 1590. She bathed with roses red and violets blue, and all the sweetest flowers that in the forest grew. The modern cliché we all know was first published almost 200 years later in a collection of nursery rhymes published in London in 1784 titled Gammer Gurton's Garland by Joseph Johnson. The rose is red, the violet's blue, the honey's sweet, and so are you. Thou art my love, and I am thine. I drew thee to my Valentine. The lot was cast, and then I drew, and fortune said it should be you. Oh dear. Nowadays, the heart emoji is one of the most used, and some even make a heart shape with their hands to demonstrate care, support, love, and affection. But does the heart really look like two circles and an inverted triangle? This hypergeometrically perfect ideogram we now know as the heart shape was not as perfect at the beginning. Ancient cultures used leaves of plants like ivy, fig, and water lily to symbolize fidelity, and used them in decorative art on pendants and other items. The ancient Greco-Roman city-state of Cyrene, North Africa, present-day Shahat, Libya, was once a thriving economic center due to the production of a type of phenol called silphium, which was used as an effective contraceptive. The shape of its seed pods looked similar to a heart, and this image was emblazoned on their coins. It didn't take long for people to associate this shape with affection. Well, some people see this shape in several anatomical features of both genders, but perhaps we should focus on giving credit to ancient philosophers and mystics who explained that the heart is the shelter of the soul and one of the two emotional energy centers, specifically those related to joy, love, and passion. Equally important is to acknowledge Galen, the father of modern medicine, who in the 2nd century of the Common Era described the heart as a pine cone-shaped organ with 3 chambers. It took a while to realize that it actually has 4. In a way, the heart does look like a voluptuous tridimensional triangle, don't you think? Heart shapes, irregular or perfect, continued being used through centuries, but the concrete and solid identification as a symbol of love and romance consolidated after the publication in the 1250s of a French manuscript known as Roman de la Poire, or Romance of the Pear, in which a young man offers his sort of pine-shaped heart to the lady he loves. Whether she corresponded is none of our business. Interestingly, in some early renditions, the heart was typically depicted upside down, up until the 15th century when this symbol, as we know it, became one of the suits on playing cards. Now everyone could see how it should go, couldn't they? The Catholic Church also began to use the heart shape to refer to both the suffering and love of Jesus, known as the Sacred Heart of Jesus, which of course was a major contributor to the popularity of this symbol. The first Valentine's Day cards were handmade and usually delivered in total secrecy. This was the 1700s, so you can imagine. However, the most daring would send bouquets of flowers with the card. Actually, there is something called floriography, which is the secret code of flower sending, where each type of flower represents a specific idea. This is when red roses acquire their current meaning of courtly love and passion. If you want to learn the entire flower code, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so you know when that video is posted. Sending Valentine's Day cards became really popular during the Victorian era in Great Britain. Print houses made Valentine's Day cards accessible and postage was only a penny, so it was affordable. By 1840, approximately 400,000 Valentine's Day cards were sent in Great Britain and abroad. The so-called Victorian Valentine's Day cards are now coveted collectibles. The British Royal Mail estimates the value of a sketch of a 1790 Valentine's Day card of up to 4,000 British pounds, that is approximately $4,950, American dollars, that is. An American young woman named Esther Howland was the daughter of the owner of the largest stationery store in Worcester, Massachusetts, back in the 1800s. Esther received a Valentine's Day card from England and she loved it, probably more than its sender. So she designed a line of Valentine's Day cards with lace cutouts and illustrations of cupids, hearts, and the whole romantic paraphernalia. She sold $100,000 a year and distributed all across the United States. In the 1900s, 2 young brothers from Kansas City, Missouri, Joyce Clyde and Rollie Hall, started a printing business practically from zero. Their vision and entrepreneurship led them to create one of the most famous greeting cards companies nowadays in the United States of America. At the beginning, Valentine's Day and Christmas were 2 of the best holidays for their growing business, before they capitalized on practically every single holiday that was invented from then on. Did you know there is a Morse code day? You should send cards to your friends with secret messages on April 27th. Okay, what about that chubby cherub throwing magic arrows that make people fall in love? Well, that is a little bit of a complicated story. Originally, in the Greek mythology, the goddess Gaia, Earth, had a baby god named Eros, love. But there are other stories that dispute Eros' parentage, stating that his real parents were Ares, the god of war, and Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty and love. There are at least 2 other theories, but in any case, this god of love, Eros, became a stoutly and handsome winged immortal who was gifted with arrows with gold arrowheads to arouse desire and attraction, and also arrows with lead arrowheads to ignite aversion or rejection. This mischievous god would shoot his arrows to both immortals and mortals, making them either fall in love or display total rejection, which would obviously create tons of drama. The Romans took many of the Greek deities and adapted them to their cosmogony. So the handsome Eros became a chubby winged baby because he looked less threatening and adopted the name Cupido, which derives from the Latin cupio or cupere, which means to desire passionately. Notice that the focus is only on passion and not on rejection. It looks like the Romans avoided the topic of lead arrowheads and their effects. The Roman Cupido, or Cupid in English, is the one we ended up inheriting, and for obvious reasons, this cute mischievous cherub became Saint Valentine's mascot. Another important celebratory element on Saint Valentine's Day, besides gifting flowers, specifically red roses, is to give chocolates and toast with champagne. Chocolate is made from cacao beans, endemic from Mexico. The Aztec emperors and shamans consumed copious amounts of cacao beans because of its euphoric effects. They made a hyperstimulant beverage called chocolatl, combining roasted cacao beans, cornmeal, vanilla, honey, and red chili peppers. Cacao stimulates the production of serotonin and phenylethamine, which are the chemicals in our brains that make us feel really good and full of joy. That is why it is said that chocolate is an aphrodisiac. By pressing the fat out of the roasted cacao beans, a fine powder is obtained, and this is called cocoa. The Spanish conquerors did not like the bitterness of chocolatl, so they added sugar and eliminated the cornmeal and the chili peppers. By the 1600s, cocoa powder was already popular in Europe, and in 1876, Daniel Peter of Switzerland added milk to make the nowadays famous chocolate milk. While latte is Italian for milk, the word chocolate derives from its original name in Nahuatl, the language of the Aztecs, chocolatl. An English entrepreneur, Richard Cadbury, invented a process in 1861 to extract the pure cocoa butter from the cacao beans and created edible chocolate. To entice people to eat chocolate instead of only drinking it, he had the brilliant idea of packaging his chocolates in a heart-shaped box that he designed himself, adding red satin, cupids, and red roses to the decorations. The boxes were so beautiful that people saved them to store all the Saint Valentine's Day cards they received. Clever marketing genius, this Cadbury guy. So, if Cupid is not around or if he ran out of golden arrowheads, a box of heart-shaped chocolates and a tall flute of bubbly joyful champagne will do the trick. Some also add strawberries because they look like hearts. You can even find strawberry-flavored champagne and chocolate-covered strawberries. Now you have several ideas for a potent love elixir. In 1907, the American chocolate pioneer Milton Hershey launched a new product to add to his successful line of chocolate caramel bars: chocolate teardrops. However, the name was not too enticing, and some workers pointed out the noise the machine made when pouring the chocolate and said, "It sounds like a kiss." And the chocolate kisses were born. Perfect idea to complement the Saint Valentine's Day must-buy list. But let's not forget that many countries also celebrate friendship on Saint Valentine's Day. So it's not only about lovers and aphrodisiacs. One way or another, Saint Valentine's Day is one more excuse to activate the economy and demonstrate joy, friendship, romance, and all types of love. There, we have added lots of interesting information to our understanding of the origins and meaning of Saint Valentine's Day. If you think this has been a good addendum to your knowledge, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. It's free. And share this video in your social networks. Check our other playlists and let us know in the comments what else you would like to see in one of our videos. Thank you for watching.